Hi everyone, and welcome to our 1001 class. I'm your instructor Heather Degatere, and this video is simply a brief review of your syllabus, your lecture schedule, as well as any requirements from me for the course for you. I've had a lot of questions via email. This last week has been crazy. Haven't registered. Some of you haven't been able to find your classes, see your dashboard. This first week I knew would be kind of terrible. Okay, so don't panic. You don't need to send 1 million emails each day. Take a nice deep breath and know that I plan for your first due date to fall at the end of this week. This week that we're in now, right? Instead of all the stuff being due last week like it's pretty customary, right? Okay, so our course began last Monday, but paperwork needed to be done, processed. So we are now officially in week 1/week 2, according to your schedule. And you'll need to complete what's on your lecture schedule. Before we even get there though, let's start first with the syllabus. The two documents you'll need to follow along in this video is your course syllabus and your course lecture schedule. So whichever one you have in front of you, get the other one as well. Pull them both up on your screen. Do whatever you need to do. If you printed them, pull them out. Going over those things first. First is your syllabus. I'll assume you can read, right? You can read that on your own. You'll take the syllabus quiz like you need to, and we can move on from there, right? So my main points are: 1, you do not need a textbook for this course. I provide all of the readings on your course page. Everything is there required for you to read or to review, and nothing needs to be purchased. So, hello. Second thing, you have 4 major assignments, 4 major essays, right? That excludes the one we're working on this week and next week. That's simply a diagnostic essay. Easily for me to see how you're writing so that whenever I grade you come the final exam, I can see the progress you've made, right? And hopefully there's lots of progress. You learned a lot in class. But the 4 major assignments usually include 4 major essays, 4 different styles of essay. Your first essay is a description essay where we take a piece of art and we describe it. It sounds very complicated, but it's not, right? And I'm going to walk you through it step by step. The second major essay is the narrative essay. We find an advertisement on the list that I provide you, and you write a short story, a creative piece, and then you write a critical academic piece explaining what the creative piece meant, right, to you as the author, as the writer, which is sometimes everyone's favorite and sometimes it's not. So you look forward to that. The third essay is the exposition essay. That's where we take a current event and kind of expound upon it, right? We move through a few selected topics. You'll pick one, you'll see counter arguments to it, arguments for it, and you kind of explain those things in a paper and try to convince your reader, me or others, of your position. Your last essay, your last major essay for the course is the argumentative essay, right? It's simply your exposition essay, but a lot. It's very, very far away, so don't stress about it now. We're going to start first with the 5-paragraph essay. The illustration essay is the same thing, even though they're called different things on your papers. We'll start first with that one, a little no-pressure essay, just to see how things are going, and we'll be able to kind of tailor the course for your needs from that point. Your very final essay, the final exam essay, is also a 5-paragraph essay that I'll give you an outline of how I want you to write so I can see the real progress there. I've said that enough. The other things as far as assignments go are quizzes. You have to take them. You have to do your readings before you take the quiz. Self-explanatory. You have some journals to complete. That's simply something you submit to me in my courses that I read just one-on-one with you, right? Our forums is a discussion space for you and your classmates. So you, like this week, for example, your original response to the first forum discussion is due Saturday by 11:55 p.m. You post your original response. You answer the questions inside that forum. You do a little check there. You spell check your stuff and make sure everything makes sense. Everything's in complete sentences. And you say, click, I'm done, I submit. Okay, you have an hour to edit that response before you have to delete it completely and restart, right, if you don't like it. Okay. From there, Monday evenings, every single Monday evening is when everything else is due, right? Your responses to your peers in that forum discussion, your smart thinking tutoring response forms, any rough drafts or finals drafts you have, any journals, any additional quizzes, All of those things for all semester long will be due on Monday evening at 11:55 p.m. Now, I've run into two issues with these due dates being so consistently stable, right? One, people forget they have to put in their original response sooner than their peers, right? So I make sure that you write your original response on Saturday so that you all have time to read everyone's responses and then reply to them and have a discussion by Monday evening, right? If you try to turn in an original response on Monday and everyone's already replied to everyone else, you've kind of wasted your time and you don't get the points for that week. Second thing that I kind of run into issues. When you submit any draft in class, you will have to first submit it to the Smart Thinking Tutoring Center that we have at the top of your My Courses page. There's a separate video on exactly how to do that. Now, it takes those tutors 24 hours to get your paper back to you, okay? So if you finish your paper, your rough draft is done, let's say on Tuesday, you're on the ball, right? You send it to them on Wednesday, you get it back on Thursday, you then have time to edit it before the due date on the following Monday. If you try to get it to them on the Monday that it's due, you will not get it back and I will have no sympathy, right? You have to plan ahead as far as getting it to those tutors, getting all those corrections done, then finally submitting it to me, right? This ensures, these tutoring response forms, ensure that when you're working with your tutor, you're getting line by line corrections from that tutor, right? They can work with you one-on-one on exactly what you feel is the issue with your paper. And I wish I could do that for all of you all the time, but there aren't enough hours in the day. So I'm here for content. I'm here for really great work. I'm here to make sure that you improve. But I first need you to work with that tutor on each of your drafts and get rid of like the finicky things, the things that might just hinder your reader from understanding what you're saying at all, right? So your grammar or your content or your paragraph structure, those things can easily be corrected and reviewed with a tutor, and I can get you to the meat of the stuff, right? So your tutor response forms are very important, but you have to plan ahead for them. Just a heads up before you get there. Okay, so other things include bonus points. This is the last thing on the assignment scale that I think of. There are plenty of bonus points all semester long. Sometimes huge bonus points, sometimes smaller ones. I give them to you maybe ahead of time, maybe you know a week. All right, you might know the week of the assignment that I've given you a bonus opportunity. You can complete them. They're completely optional, right? They're all for you to just choose whether or not you do them. I will say that students who usually do their assignments and their bonus points do really well in the course because they've made sure to really cover themselves as far as their grades go. At the end of the semester, I usually end up giving about 50 to 100 additional bonus points in work collectively over the semester that can really help bolster your grade, especially if you're teetering on the edge of a B, right? It can bring you up to an A, or that C can bring you up to a B, right? If you do no bonus, it doesn't hurt you. Just do good work too, right? Everyone should be doing good work all the time. Two other things as far as your syllabus is concerned before I move on to your schedule. The first thing is my late policy. I don't like late work because I try to grade as promptly as possible, right? So the second that you turn things in on Monday, I try to make sure that they're all graded by Thursday. If you haven't turned things in and they're super, super late and I've graded everyone's stuff already, I have to then go back into the system, find your paper, find your class, then grade it. It takes a lot more time than just trying to get it all done on my Thursday, right? So if you're late, I need you to tell me why. If it's something ridiculous like my computer crashed, or I didn't have time, or the tutor didn't give me a paper back, or things that could easily have been avoidable or backed up, right? Make sure you're saving in the cloud somewhere in Dropbox, somewhere in your Google Drive. You have access to those things. Make sure to take care of yourself here, right? Because I can't weed out the real excuses from the very bad excuses, right? So late work is just not tolerated in the course. Once things are graded, I really need a good excuse to go back and really take all of that time to go into your late work. The last thing is plagiarism. Don't plagiarize in class. It's stupid. It's useless. Turning in a terrible paper shows more effort and diligence than turning in papers that have been done by someone else and or copied by someone else, which is just so lazy, right? Don't do it. I usually find out. I usually have to report it. At best, you have a 0 on the assignment. At worst, you cannot apply to the university, right? I don't like getting people kicked out of school. It's weird, it's awkward, it's a lot of paperwork, and it crushes your future. which feels like it's really big, but I really, really hate plagiarism. Just do not resort to it. Talk to me instead, right? Let me know what's going on instead, and we can work something out. That's the gist of your class syllabus for me. Those are my main points. You can read the rest. I suggest you read the rest before taking the syllabus quiz because you'll be tested on the finite points of that syllabus. Your second thing here that I want to review with you very quickly is your lecture schedule. This is exactly what we're going to do every single week for all 16 weeks, and it has every single due date on it. If anything changes, let's say we have a crazy hurricane that passes through and everyone loses the internet access, I will then shift over those assignments and those due dates to accommodate the course. Let's say everyone really doesn't do well on a rough draft, and I feel like you need another week just to kind of get it and really hone in. We'll push everything back. If I make any changes to the lecture schedule, because it is so static, right? I'll let you know via email. There's no surprises here. You will know time and time again exactly what needs to be done and when it needs to be done, right? There's no surprises here. Your very first week, which was last week and this week, depending on when you kind of started in the course, has quite a few assignments, right? It feels like a lot of things to read, it feels like a lot of things to do, but one, you had kind of 2 weeks to do it, and two, if you didn't have 2 weeks, this is just kind of that pilot into the course, right? You have to read your lecture schedule, you have to read your syllabus, you have to watch these videos, things like that. This won't be every week, right? You won't have to watch an introduction to the course every single week. You could just, do your work, see an introduction again. So this week, alongside all of your readings, because in your lecture schedule you have an introduction, which is usually an introduction video to the week. Why does this matter? Video. Then you have required readings on your listing, right? And it has everything you need to read and review or watch on that paper, right? Every one of those things is on my courses. They match up perfectly, so there shouldn't be any confusion. From there, you've done all of your readings, all of your watchings, all of your reviewings. You go into the assignments, right, where you see, oh, I have a discussion forum due, my original response, due on Saturday at 11:55 p.m. I'm going to get that done. I'm going to write that in my calendar. I'm going to put it in my phone. I'm going to write it on my fridge. I'm going to write it on my arm. Do whatever you have to do to make sure you get those things in on time, right? Same thing goes later down your schedule, Monday, 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 and Monday. You have 4 things due. You have your replies. You need to reply to 2 peers every single week, and not, oh man, good idea, or oh yeah, I thought that too. That's not a substantial reply, right? I need something real. I need an actual discussion to have formed for you to get those points. I need you to say something along the lines of, I thought that too, but here's where I didn't. Or I wouldn't have thought of it that way at all. Here's what I did think, right? It can't just be that one sentence of, yeah, man, you're doing a good job, right? Because that is nice, but it's not helpful, right? So make sure that you review your rubric for forum discussions in case you're confused as to what warrants a great discussion versus a not so great discussion. And also make sure that you're reading as many and replying to as many as you want. You're required to do 2 though, and I check each week. Also alongside that, you had a professional email correspondence reading. It was light and fun, I hope, for you. But you also have a journal response to that, right? So I ask you a few questions and you answer those things and you submit it in time. You can, I think, edit that as often as you want, but double check just in case. It'll give you an alert after you've submitted it. You also have your 5-paragraph essay, rough draft, and smart thinking tutoring response form due on Monday evening. That means you need to have written your rough draft sometime early this week, right? That means you had to have read all the materials about that rough draft too, right? You wrote your rough draft, you sent it into the smart thinking tutoring people. Yeah. When you do send it in, you get an email immediately from them saying, hey, we got your paper. We'll send it back soon, right? Within 24 hours, they usually give it back to you, again, via email. You'll see both your original paper and the paper that they've actually corrected, right? They send you a bunch of comments. From there, you take that form, the one they made all those comments on, and you save it. Save it somewhere on your desktop. Save it somewhere in a folder for the class. Save it somewhere safe, right? And you will, for me, by Monday evening, send me both your rough draft after you've corrected it, talking to your tutor. You've done a great polished copy. It's the perfect essay, and you can't wait to share it with me. You submit that to its Dropbox, and in a separate Dropbox, you submit the tutoring form that the tutor sent you with corrections on your paper. I want to see that paper, right? I want to see that you submitted it to them, they gave you corrections, and then I can pull up your rough draft and I can pull up that tutoring form. I can see what corrections they made, and I can see that you made those corrections, right? So it's kind of like proof. You cover yourself here. With that said, and I'm reminding you again, it takes them 24 hours to send your paper back to you, and you need some time to correct your paper. Make sure you allot that much time before the due date, right? Don't try to send it to them on Sunday and expect it to get back to you, because it might not, right? Okay, that's all I have for this week's material. This week is kind of a smorgasbord of all of the introduction things you'll need to know for the entire course, right? Smart thinking, tutor response forms. It's always tricky the first time you do it, but it'll be so much smoother after that. Rough drafts, just getting into writing. It's tough, but you'll be a lot easier after that. From their journals and forums. This will be the first time you do them. That's great, but it's going to be rough. It'll take a lot longer than it normally will for the remainder of the semester because it's your first time doing it, right? So make sure you write those deadlines down. You watch all of these tutorials in case you're confused as to how to do something. You make sure you communicate with me via email or Skype, however you wish, so that I know what's going on in case you're having issues. I make sure to reply to emails usually within 24 hours. Skype is a lot faster, right? I simply downloaded the app on my phone and I said, I would love the free app. Thank you very much. And then from there, it asked me to sign in. It did its thing. And I simply look for you, right? You'll look for me technically. So you make a Skype name, you make a Skype account. It's free. You look for my name, which is at the top of your syllabus, h.degatere, right? It'll say, hey, do you want to connect to the person? And then you say, absolutely, I can't wait. You press connect. It sends me a message saying, hey, so-and-so wants to connect with you. I say, sure, okay. And I click accept. We're then connected. You can text me. You can voice call me. You can voice conference me. You do whatever you need to do. I don't answer calls at 2 a.m., but I'm available pretty much all the other times, so heads up. Texting is usually easiest for students for whatever crazy reason, right? Okay, there are plenty of things you can look at for your lecture schedule. Do not try to work ahead. It's going to make you overwhelmed. It's going to make you really sad. And that's not the place you want to be when you're writing, right? It's not the place I want you to be ever. So heads up. You have week 3. You can look at it just to see what's coming up next week. There will be another introduction video for next week available to you next week, right? Probably a little earlier than the start of your week, which is the Monday. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, welcome to the course. It feels very overwhelming right now, and that's okay. It's kind of going to feel a little overwhelming at first, right? And then you'll feel like an absolute pro. And then hopefully next semester you take the 1002 course and we just have a lot of fun with it, right? You're not having so much anxiety about current events and writing rough drafts. So if you have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, you're free as birds. Go do great work. I can't wait to meet you all. All right. Good night.